Motherhood is challenging and rewarding, and it's time we discuss the truth about motherhood, our own feelings and desires, why we mom shame, and how we can start standing together. Motherhood is a lifetime of different phases, all while we are expected to manage the weight of life. It's time for us moms to not only help each other by giving a hand, but push each other to explore ourselves on our deepest levels. Welcome to the Mom Still Standing podcast. I'm your mom friend and host, Danielle Lewis. Each week, we will chat with a beautiful mom who is navigating motherhood and life in a special way. My goal, moms, is for us to understand we are more alike than we are different and that we shouldn't mom alone. So join us as we celebrate and honor motherhood. Now go grab your favorite beverage and let's dive in. Hey, mom friends, this is Danielle back on the Mom Still Standing podcast with a very special episode. This new series that I want to start in light of some of the events surrounding George Floyd's death and all the other young men and women that have lost their lives in the recent weeks and months. And so I wanted to be able to chat with some of my sister friends that are moms and that are boy moms especially. And I wanted to title this series Brown Moms Speak because I wanted to be able to give moms that are brown a space to be able to share how their lives have been impacted over the last couple of weeks, how their lives have been impacted with all of the police brutality and racial injustices that we have recently experienced. And so today I have two of my sister friends. I have Shantae and I have Cherie here with us. And we're just going to have a conversation about a few different topics related to all of these events. So y'all get comfortable, put your ears on, and we're going to dive in. So, hey, Cherie. Hey, Shantae.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. I'm doing good for a Sunday. So, in light of, as I just said, the recent events that we have been experiencing in this country, specifically Floyd's death, I just wanted to start by asking you all, what have been the top three feelings that you have had since George Floyd's death?
This is Shantae. Hello, everyone. When I think about how I've mentally been feeling since George Floyd's death, there are a lot of different emotions that come to mind. I think mainly just exhausted, exhausted and just tired. Tired of it, tired of hearing about it, tired of seeing it and nothing being done. But, frustration and agitation and anger and fear and sadness are just feelings that a lot of people are feeling right now. But for me, I think the main one is just exhaustion and just feeling hopeless.
Yeah, I do too. I would have to say I've echoed those same sentiments that you have, Shantae, but also I really honestly had a lot of anger, and I think it was just fueled more by watching that video, because quite honestly, I did not watch it right away because, like you, I immediately felt exhausted. Like, I just can't even take the details right now. When I first heard about it, I didn't watch the video for a week after the event. And after watching it, it just really angered me in a way that that took me out of myself. I mean, even my husband had commented to me. He was like, "Why are you so hostile?" And that's how I felt. I did. I felt hostile. I know this is on the air, but, I haven't gone out to protest anywhere because of the way I was feeling. And I knew that I had to, in order to represent moms in a way that is productive, I had to deal with that feeling in particular first. So, yeah, it put me in a hard place for a minute.
I had not gotten over Ahmaud Arbery's murder yet, or any of the other recent and far away murders. I did not partake in any of the protests this time for pretty much the same reasons. I did partake in a couple of protests when Trayvon Martin got killed, and more so because my daughter was, very affected and she wanted to do it, so I went with her. But this time I didn't. And at the time when Trayvon was murdered, I didn't have a son yet. This one hit a little different because we watched it. And I did see when Philando Castile died as well. And that was video, that was on live or whatever too. But this one was different because of the malicious intent. Like it had appeared to be that a demon or a spirit took over that officer. You could see it in his face. Like it was different. It was unhuman. And
he had no remorse.
Yeah, it was just yeah. This one hit a little differently, but yeah, I didn't trust myself. I purposely stayed off of social media. I was not trying to go get in a back and forth with people or some of my friends who are Caucasian who say all kind of ignorant stuff, because it was at the point where I would probably have been ready to pull up. And I know me, and I know, certain things. I don't like to go back and forth on Facebook. I'll show up at one of their houses and then everything will go south from there. So I just knew. I was like, stay off social media for a little while. But then I realized I cannot act like it didn't happen in my own mind. Like, so I had to say something. And then at the same time, that's when I had gotten a phone call from Danielle, like, girl, I need to talk to somebody about this. And I was like, yeah, I've been feeling the same way, but I just couldn't, because it just was, with all that was going on, it was just a lot. And depression and anxiety and, all of that was already at an all-time high because of the pandemic and, everything else that was going on. But this one was another level of tragic for me.
Yeah, and I agree. I had, for so long, honestly, I never watched those videos. I think I did see Philando Castile, because he was one where his girlfriend was in the car and the little girl was in the back. I did see a portion of that. I saw a portion of it, but my thing was I never wanted to watch those videos. I never really followed those cases. I never wanted to know too much because I never wanted to accept it as my reality. Like, this is our reality as Black people. I never wanted that to accept it. And then even more personally, to have two sons, it was like, oh no, I can't do this. So it was always, I never really paid a little attention, but that was it. And so for this one, for me, the biggest thing was disbelief. Like, I could not believe what I saw. Like, I was like I remember sitting on my porch watching it, like, I can't even believe that I just watched a man die, number one. Then I couldn't believe that how I saw him die, and then how Cherie just said that this officer had no remorse. It was almost like, like Shantae said, that something had taken over him. Like, I was in disbelief. I could not believe it. And I had been a little emotional anyway, because we had lost a coworker. And then it was the whole Amy Cooper thing. Now that set me off. I was ready to go whip some tail.
Okay.
I was like, okay, let Karen try that over here.
Oh my!
So with George Floyd's, for me, it was just disbelief. Like, I could not believe, like, wait a minute, did this really happen? And it was like instant trauma. With Amy Cooper in that situation in the park, I was angry. I was enraged. I was just, and like Cherie said, I was outside of myself. Like, I even see a white woman, like, if she act like she about to say something, I'm not about to be responsible for what I do or say, So it was like coming off of social media, staying in the house, because it was like, I don't know. Right. I don't know.
Like, better not nobody say anything wrong to me at the grocery store or anything, because it's that tight right now.
Right.
But
So it
yeah,
was just deep. And I had not felt the type of hatred that I was feeling after
oh my gosh.
Cooper. I mean, I had not, that's not me. Like,
Yeah,
and so it concerned me, like, okay, wait a minute, what do I do? What do I do? And all three of
yeah,
us are women of faith. And so it was like, that was even far. I couldn't even, it was like, I couldn't even get to God. It was just like my mind and my
yeah,
emotions, everything was just out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't
yeah,
have an outlet. So the only thing I knew to do was to go inward because that's just what I do. But yeah, it was really just all the things between those two events. And but now, a couple weeks later, now I've been really working on trying to get that hatred out and really just pouring my heart out to God and getting other sisters in faith to come alongside me to pray and just kind of talk through it because I didn't like how that felt. It was very uncomfortable and it just wasn't me. I didn't like that. And like I said, being a woman of faith, we know that the God that we serve and we follow he's a God of love. And so for me, it was tough. But now I don't have that hatred. Am I still angry? At different points, anger rises up depending on what I see on social media, or what I hear, or if I look in the comments too long, because girl, them comments will have you enraged, okay?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I'm still off social media because I know that I can't go there right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too much interaction. Everybody has an opinion, and I just wanted for me to get out of my feelings. I really just had to kind of. Well, I'm not really big on social media anyway. I try to do it because most of my friends are on there, and just to try to stay in touch. See what's going on with people. But I feel like I want to be effective and in this revolution because that is what I believe has to happen in order things have to totally change. There has to be a revolution. And, unfortunately, people are going to be caught in the crossfire because all types of agendas are in play in the midst of this process. We see people looting, they're kind of, taking advantage of the situation with the protest and taking it to another level, which is distracting to what really needs to happen. And so, for me, I just been praying, God, help me see how I can be best used in this movement going forward, because we have to, as people, African Americans and moms, I believe we have to be active. We have to activate ourselves in a way that causes change. And, we see people doing that with the police departments and talking about, defunding police departments. I did not expect that type of response to come so quickly from the larger society. But I think we have an opportunity, and we have to not be led by our emotions so that we can fully take advantage of this opportunity for our voices to be heard and for change to be effective. What do
Absolutely.
y'all think about that?
I'm the type of person that, I like to read about Black history and our people. And so over the years, since I've gotten a little bit, gotten a little bit of sense, I've been reading about, revolutionary Black people, Black women, in particular, and how they move and bust moves for the communities and how important of a role that they play. So with all that's going on, I feel like because I was given this life at this time with these freedoms that I need to do something. However, I sometimes I don't know what to do. And that was literally I was like, Danielle, I know I need to do something. I just don't know what to do. I don't know what. I don't have the capacity to develop a plan, but I know something needs to be done. And, when you think about how strong our for the people that came before us were and just brave and fearless, you feel like you just got to do something and partake in something. So I think that they didn't have the opportunity to have podcasts and social media and things like that to reach the masses like we do, and they still did a really, really good job at organizing and getting their information and their points out there. I don't, I feel like, I feel hopeless. Like the Black men that I see from my neighborhood growing up in my household with my dad and my uncles and my cousins and, my friends, my homeboys, you know, and what I see in George Floyd and his pictures, they're strong, like, and they're powerful. So to see him on that ground like that in a powerless position, it just kind of reminded me of no matter what we do, no matter what we say, no matter how we stand, no matter how strong and powerful we are a threat to them. And they will always see us as a threat and they will always try to destroy that threat. When we're just going about our regular business trying to survive the time, like he's just a brother trying to make a living and stay out of prison. But
Right.
in somebody else's mind, he's a threat. He ain't even stunting you. He trying to, stay away from y'all, the police and whatever. So it's just like it's never ending. And I have intellectual conversations with some people that I know that are not Christians, they're not believers. And, they was like, where y'all God at now? We're, 400 years of this, when is it going to stop? When are Black people going to be on top? Why we got to keep suffering? And I don't have an answer, but I know that the only reason why I am able to still get up out of bed and have some kind of sense of peace in my heart, it has to be a God, because I want to burn everything down. Like,
I'm with you.
So
I've been in my mind. I've been listening. Burn, baby, burn.
Burn it. I don't keep burn. So I know that the peace, because I've done a lot more for a lot less reasons. Like, so I know it's the God that has taken over my mind and my heart and given me the peace that surpasses all understanding. Because I mean, like I said, I've done a lot more for a lot less of a reason. You know what I'm saying? So I gladly go to jail right now. And with kids and everything, look, take care of my babies. Without having to think about that previously, I didn't care. So now I do think about that, but I still sometimes don't care. So I know it's God. It has to be, and I don't have an answer to why we have to endure this much suffering, why our men have to endure this much suffering. I just can, I just, the only thing I can think of is that he built us for it, because, there have been a lot less tragic situations in other cultures that they have folded under and have not been able to survive, and we continuously get up and keep it going and make stuff happen. And I don't know if it's by instinct, by choice, by habit, or just what's in us.
I think it's just who we are as a people.
Yeah, just who we are as people. But we ain't never had no other choice.
Right.
Right.
We're survivors. And I think, Cherie, you bring up a very good point. We are in unprecedented times, and we have the opportunity for real change to take place now. I know I have been just amazed how the entire world, the entire world.
I know. I saw Amish people.
All 50
my
states,
mouth
different
just hanging
countries.
open.
The entire world has responded. Like George Floyd's death has shaken and awakened this whole world.
Yeah, and he's just, to that cop, he was just another.
He was just another Black man.
You know what I'm saying? But, and I have to be the first to, I mean, I don't like social media that much either. I have a love-hate relationship with it. It's because I have a teenage daughter. And I always like, all you do is move them thumbs around on that phone. Like, put the phone down, look up, live life, experience.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Move to the phone. So, but when I tell you these millennials stepped up and stepped out, and they are, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, y'all go, because y'all doing stuff that my old tired behind been sitting here not, just thinking 3, 4, 5, 6 times before busting a move. And these millennials out here, they really weren't just on their phones TikToking and and
No, because they
Yeah.
are tired. They're tired. They are like, no, this has to change. And they
Yeah.
are the ones that are actually leading
yeah,
the way on
yes, they are. So I
Yeah,
was
they
like,
are.
they're
okay,
leading the
y'all.
way on this
Because they,
whole
and I
defund the
don't
police
blame them.
thing.
I don't blame them. They're saying we don't want to live in a world like this,
And they
you
take
know?
it back. We are not our ancestors, and that's for sure.
Right. But
Hmm.
I think, Shantae, you bring up another good point just when it comes to our faith and how do we rationalize what we see and what's going on. And, you know, as we witness like protesting and groups organizing and, you know, the young people coming out and taking a stand and all of this, it's like we have to focus on justice, but we also have to focus on the God of justice and the God of hope and the God of peace. And so I don't know about for y'all, but that has been extremely difficult for me as a
Yeah.
Christian woman because, like I said, initially, all that anger, all that hatred, I'm like, that is not who I am. But it doesn't represent the kingdom of God well because God is a God of love. And so
Yeah.
it's been difficult to really like, yeah. And I have said, God, where are you? Like, why is this happening? Like, soon as I get to heaven, I'm gonna be like, Jesus, okay, now, first question, why did we as a Black people have to go through what we went through? And I think it's okay that we don't have those answers because we don't know. The scripture tells us that who knows the mind of God, you know, who knows his thoughts? We don't know. But thank God that we have his word, that we have his promises, that we can stand on them through times like this because the Christian life was not, no one ever promised that it was going to be easy. And no one promised that to me, you know. But I
Hmm.
think we're seeing now that ish can get real out here in these streets. And we thank God that we have God and we have a relationship with him and we have his word. And with all of that, it's still challenging. It's still difficult.
I was just going to give a reference I had read during the time when George Floyd was murdered, because that's what it was.
Absolutely.
I was doing a Bible study, and part of that study was so timely because it was the book of Habakkuk, and I would encourage each of you and anybody listening on this podcast to read it in its entirety. It's only 3 books, so it's not that long. But the first chapter, if you read it in the Message version, the subtitle of the first part of the first chapter of Habakkuk says, "Justice is a joke." And basically what he was saying is what we're feeling right now. Like, how long do we have to endure this, you know? And then God's response was, you know, in chapter 2, he said, "Behold, I will do a new thing. And shall you not know it?" And I just said, okay, Lord, well, help me see, you know, what is that? What is that thing? Because, you know, in the midst of this tragedy, look at the thing, like Danielle said, you said, God is doing anew. He's uniting people around the world for this cause. And this is something that we have not seen, at least in our lifetime that I'm aware of, that people around the world uniting for one cause. And I'm just reminded of in the word, and not to make this a whole spiritual conversation, but we are Christian women. We identify that way. So I'm sharing. But, you know, God is coming back for a church without a spot or a wrinkle, you know, and until we get this ugliness out, this is something we have to deal with. And he's coming back for people who are unified. And this is really exposing where people are, you know, just from a humanity perspective and our prejudices and how we deal with, you know, have dealt with racism. So, you know, unfortunately, you know, Mr. Floyd had to die. He lost his life, but I'm trying to focus on, but the gift that we're receiving as a result of what has happened is like, he couldn't have imagined the impact that his life would have on the world.
No.
I agree with what you just said. Like, I do think that there's going to be a time, and I hope and pray that I live to see it, where we are on top and we are victorious. My mind wants to rejoice and praise early for that because I know it's coming because the word says so. But right now, you know, all I can think about is that with all that's going on in our communities, our societies, with the prison system, that's,
Oh my goodness.
just a whole nother story.
Yes.
And
don't get me started.
And I don't want to do a shameless plug, but Free All My Sons, which is my podcast about the injustices of the prison system. Yeah. But there is another Black girl growing up without a father. And the challenges that she's going to face anyway, just for being a Black little girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, then on top of that, growing up in a world where everything synonymous with her dad is going to deal with a white man taking him from her. So is there so many levels to this? And it's heartbreaking because, our young ladies, they go through enough. They're losing their dads to drugs and alcoholism and the prison system and the police. And, it's like
unemployment, underemployment,
and mental health issues. And, and not saying that other races don't deal with these issues, but it's just multiplied and more traumatizing for us because on top of that,
we're targeted.
Now she's another young lady. Thank God that she, her dad has brothers, but she's another young lady out there in these streets unprotected because she ain't got no father to be able to say, "Oh, my dad will come and handle you." Like, I know that his friends and brothers and them are gonna step up, but what if not? This on so many levels is tragic, and I need therapy.
It's a complex issue. It's complex. It's complicated. But I think conversations like this are helpful. They're encouraging. They're inspiring. They're supportive because we're coming together to support each other. And because this is a podcast, others will be able to listen and identify with some of the things that we are saying. But I think we have to continue the conversation. I think we also need to be willing to take action. And the action that we take is not going to be identical. Like, my action is going to be different from Shantae's and Cherie's, but we all need to be thinking about, like, what action steps do we need to be taking? And so with that, the one thing that I know we can do, and one thing that I know we should do, and the one thing that we all have to be encouraging others to do, is to vote. And I came across this quote, and it says, "The power of the people is much stronger than the people in power." And so in light of this quote, it's like we all must do our part. And so I feel like we have to be committed to educating ourselves on our, local elected officials, educating our friends and our family members and our neighbors, even strangers, and making sure that they understand the importance of voting, especially in November, and especially in a lot of the primaries have already taken place, but there could be some that still have not, but the importance of that. And so I just want to hear from you all, and we'll start with Cherie. How important is this election?
It's very important. It's critical. It's critically important. And what I mean by that is that I believe, the last presidential election was equally as important, but I think that people were more focused on their feelings than facts and were more led by their emotions in the last election. And I really think that that's what got this current president into office. And so now I think people have to really understand that. Because some people, I think, really didn't believe that Donald Trump would be elected president, but they didn't vote because they didn't like the candidates who were on the ballot. So they didn't make a choice at all. And so, and what happened is what I tell my children: if you don't make a choice, one will be made for you, and you may not like it. So if you have an opportunity to make a choice, make a choice. You may not totally like the outcome, but at least you will have had your say. So I think that hopefully people, take heed and get out there and vote. And I'm not going to get off on a tangent, but that's something that I'm going to be working to support that effort.
I think that a lot of people, not all, have lost faith in the process and the system. Because when you think about it, Donald Trump had less votes than his his component or opponent, and he still won. And some people do understand how that electoral college and all that other stuff, but a
Right.
lot of people in their mind, they're like, what he got? So I think a lot of us did vote. And I think that a lot of people that should have voted probably couldn't have voted for many different reasons. But I do believe that people feel, what's the point? He gonna cheat anyway, like he did. I mean, he was in cahoots with the Russians, and you know what I'm saying. So it's like no matter what we do, the evil doers find a way to cheat and win. So I think a lot of people are discouraged now. Most people do know that you still have to vote, but a lot of people feel like, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? So it goes back to, and another thing, like a lot of politicians say what they think we need. Everybody's gonna be hollering Black Lives Matter come election, and then when you pull their hoods off, they riding for the whole other side. But because they know that that's what is gonna win, because even the white voters and the Asian voters and Mexican and Puerto Rican, like all the voters are gonna get behind a person who is trying to, raise equality and things like that, because this is such a touchy topic right now. But are they really gonna like stand for those issues after the voting is over? Because a lot, politicians are known to be.
And that's where voting, and that's where I think our perspective, I know for me personally, has to grow. We come out for the big elections, for the presidential elections and that, but I was listening to actually Bishop Jakes was talking about this, and he said, we have to become more responsible at the ballot and not just, everybody votes for the big elections, but those local elections are more important because those are the elections that put people in place who are making decisions that affect our everyday lives.
The district attorneys, the judges, the governors, the state legislators.
And those are the people that we do have power through our vote to affect change. If they're not living up to the standards that we expect, I was listening to Maxine Waters this past week, and that's what she was talking about. We have to hold these people accountable, and we can do that through our vote. We can use our vote, but we haven't really, I personally, and I take responsibility for this, I have not fully exercised the power of my vote. So I've recognized that now, and I've been trying to, with this current, election, like with the primaries. I never really was big like in voting on primaries, quite honestly. But this last one, I was keeping up with the candidates and, trying to read about who they were and things like that. And just even with local elections recently, I've just been trying to at least read something about the people who are on the ballot. So, it's a start. And I think that, we as a society have to become more savvy about how we use our vote. Right. And not just say it doesn't matter, because it does. But when things like this happen, it's easy to say, oh, well, they're just going to do, they're just going to steal the election anyway. They'll just find a loophole. But we can make it harder for them. I mean, we proved that by voting President Obama in office.
Hello. Yep.
Yep,
very true. Yeah, I think you're right. We have to be, and that's why I say we have to be committed to educating ourselves about our local elected officials, because I too am guilty of just not knowing who they are. Like I would show up and just
get there and be like, who is this? Which one sound like they got a black name?
Right. Or skim the booklet really quickly and just be like, okay,
make it sound the blackest. I'm gonna vote for that one.
And we can't do that. We have to be more intentional. We really have to take responsibility. And I don't know if you all follow Michelle Obama on Instagram or Facebook, but she recently just posted something and it said, how does your vote connect to the criminal justice system? And she then provides a breakdown of the elected officials that could be on your ballot. And then she provides what that title is and what their role is. and how that affects the criminal justice system. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, I screenshotted all of it because it was very helpful. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, go to Michelle Obama's page and check it out. And then she also has a link on there, whenweallvote.org. So I think it's a process of educating ourselves and then also sharing these resources to other people who may feel let down or may feel like their vote is not important. But I know one daggone thing. We all agree what we have right now, we don't want.
Oh my God.
So whether they are pushing the Black Lives agenda just because, I don't care. I'm still not voting for that other person. You know what I'm saying? And like Cherie said, if you don't vote, then you don't really have, you can't really say much. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think we have to encourage each other. We have to educate each other, and we have to educate definitely our young people to let them know the value of their vote, regardless of the outcome, because the outcome is not something that we can control, but we have a responsibility to exercise our right to vote. And so I think that is what is important. So kind of to shift gears, I want to ask, and this is, so when George Floyd called out to his mom,
oh Jesus,
I feel like every mother in this world cringed, especially Black mothers. And so how have you dealt with that, especially with the reality that each one of us right here have brown sons, and Cherie, you got a brown husband?
Honestly, I cried myself to sleep that night. I think I told you this previously that, that day that I had watched the video and, at the end just heard him just in despair, crying out for his mother. That still, it hits me right in the pit of my stomach because, I think, my God, I felt like he did everything that he was supposed to do, that we teach our sons, to do. I did not hear him raise his voice at those officers. I did not see him struggle with them physically. And it was just, he was in despair. And I just thought, my God. And it really has just fueled me to really be real. And I've always been open with my kids about what's going on, in the struggle, for Black people. So, they've been to the Civil Rights Museum. They've seen the pictures of Emmett Till's face and, other things at the museum in Greensboro. We've watched movies together. We followed the Trayvon Martin case, these things, because I want them to understand that you still walk, with your head up high, regardless of what's coming at you, to let them know that this is a fight, but it's a spiritual battle too. And, I'm making my mission to equip them, not just intellectually, but spiritually too, because they have to know that when it comes down to it, this is a war. And the enemy does not want you to fulfill your purpose on this earth, and will do whatever it takes and use whatever he has to use for that to happen, So for me, I get kind of raised up on this because, I've seen incidents, with my husband and how he's been treated, and just the entitlement that white people feel towards black people, but particularly Black men. So for me, I'm ride or die. So if we got to go down, when we first moved here, my son was being bullied at school, and, he was concerned about getting in trouble. And I told him, look, I'm not telling you, people can say what they want to say, they're, talking about you or whatever. I said, but if any one of them put their hands on you, knock them down. I said, don't even worry about it, because I will be up to that school. And I let it be known. Those people saw me quite frequently. I would just show up just because I wanted to say hello, because y'all need to know who I am with an afro. And I did that intentionally, not just for myself, but for the other children in that classroom, because, there's this, they got a word for it called unconscious bias. But our children don't get the same passes. Our men don't get the same passes, that the same graces that others are given in this society. And so for me, I feel like I'm in the battle right there with them every day. So that's just where I am. So a lot of it I realize too that I just have to give it to God. And, so I do pray for them because I recognize that when it comes to that, I can't be, even though I might feel fear, I can't dwell there. I have to trust God. And that's when the word becomes more powerful than anything. And so that's where I seek for my answers so that my prayers can be effective. I'm sorry, I got awful passionate about my people. I'll be ready to throw down.
I have to consciously, daily make a decision to not be an angry Black woman. One, because my son watches everything. I think he thinks that I'm a Sada Shakur, so he thinks I am nuts. And my son has this thing where he tries to make everyone around him comfortable, especially white people. So whenever I'm the only Black mom, which I often am, or I'm the only Black woman somewhere, he always kind of says, "Mom, don't act up," in a way. And he's 7, and he's been doing this since I acted up the first time when he was 3. So he knows, and for me, I know he's watching, but he just thinks that I'm like this superhero, and I want him to know that I am strong and everything. But I also want him to, recognize that a woman is still a woman. And when he gets older, he has to be able to recognize that. And it's a fine line, because when I found out that George Floyd's mom was deceased, I kind of was happy.
Oh, Jesus.
I kind of was happy because I was like, as a mother, she probably would have died too after watching it. Like, Eric Garner's mother, I don't know how that lady is still breathing. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of relieved that George Floyd's mom is deceased, because I wouldn't want her to have to live through that or to hear that and keep seeing it over and over again, because she probably would have died of a broken heart. I know I would have, shortly after.
Girl.
And
oh my goodness.
So that is, it's just, there's nothing we won't do. I mean, we've lifted cars off of our kids, women, it's just something when it comes to our kids.
Yes.
I tell you what, like, and my friends and I had this conversation, and I have a really good friend, and he's like, "You're nuts." I said, I think if I was there, I probably would have tackled it. I would have been shot or whatever, but I couldn't just stand there and record. I would have shot a rock or something. Like, I would have shot a rock, got in my car, ran him over. Like, I would have tried to do something to just so George can take a deep breath. And you know what I'm saying? And just 1 second of relief, and then he probably would have survived, and we all would have been in jail or shot or tasered or whatever.
Oh my God.
Because none of them had their guns out, so it would have taken a second, of course, to get them out. But I would have shot some. I don't know what I would have done, but I wouldn't be able to sleep not doing anything. And then he's like, "You would risk it all for a stranger?" And I'm like, it's deeper than that. I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have just fainted. I don't know. But in my mind, I think I would have done something. So it's just, I don't know. That cry out was heartbreaking.
Oh my God.
And a lot of people don't understand the connection that Black men have with their mothers. Because if that cop knew, he wouldn't have done that. If that cop had the same connection with his mother, he would have let up.
Especially when he heard that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just something. It's just something. And it's a lot of evil out here. And I tried to, I don't want to be that mom, but I will be that mom. And even when my baby is 46, it's just one of it. And there have been times in history that were tragic, like Martin Luther King was assassinated. Like, so people have lived through tragedy and,
yeah,
and a lot of tragedy. Slavery, I can't even imagine living through slavery. But
oh my God.
and I don't know how they got through it. And apparently it's come down generational habits and, things like that. And we are seeing it these days, but I don't know. I just have a different, I don't know.
Well, I thank you all for sharing. And I just thank you all just for being down with the cause. Like, in our own way, like we're down for the cause. We're down. We're like, this cannot happen anymore. I'm not turning a blind eye to this anymore. Like, I'm going to take action. I'm going to do my part. And, for me, I'm still trying to figure out what that is. Still trying to figure that out. Like, really, what am I supposed to be doing? Well, I know some actions that that I should be taking, but what that thing that is in me that's going to passionately help me to lead this movement, not for the moment, but forever,
Right.
And so I'm still trying to figure that out. And I think that we all just have to just be kinder ourselves right now, because a lot of things are still unknown, and we're still wrestling with our emotions. And so it's just a very difficult time. And so I think we definitely have to extend ourselves and each other grace for the emotions that we hold and for the emotions that we express. And yes, we are angry Black women, and we have a right to be angry right now,
That's right.
But we have to prepare. I have to prepare myself mentally for this trial and what could come about. They already starting with the fugazi tactics, but I just fear for this country if the outcome of this prosecution doesn't reflect all that we have just argued and fought and marched and spoke out for. So,
and I think it will. I think it will. But
I think that it is going to turn this world upside down when it does, and that's going to be and these cops are going to know. So, but I'm looking forward to it. But we I hate to be Debbie Downer, but we've always been disappointed in the justice system. But I'm praying, and I think that this is the one that God is gonna make us victorious in. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
I think so too.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And I say let's not also forget about
Ahmaud Arbery,
but also Breonna Taylor. I mean,
they already got some laws changed in her name.
They did.
Yeah.
The cops have not been fired.
So that's awesome.
Nor been arrested. So that, I'm glad that there's some change with laws.
But the cops are still.
The cops are still out there. So that, that still needs to happen. But so to just kind of wrap up, I just want to know like how you all have really been caring for yourselves these days, because as we have already expressed, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, we really need to be taking care of ourselves. So what have you all been doing? Because I feel like I'm getting better. I'm healing. I'm starting to feel better. And, for me, music is really what really lifts my spirits and empowers me for sure. Nature, getting out in nature and walking, just looking up at the sky and just embracing all things green has really helped me as well. Disconnecting from social media, like I can't do it all the time. Like I have to just get off and have periods of downtime because we're already inundated with a lot of information. And then to be inundated with, because there's still stuff happening. I was on last night. I was like, okay, let me
somebody got killed last night. The police killed somebody.
It's still stuff happening. So it's like we gotta.
Yeah, and they burnt that Wendy's down.
They sure did. So we have to be mindful.
It's gonna be a hot summer.
Right. So we got to be mindful of when we need to really disconnect from the news or social media. And I think also what's helpful has been talking about it with friends like you all. So what have you all been doing to care for yourselves?
I've disconnected from social media. Aside from that, I kind of been sitting down anyway because of the pandemic. So I don't do much or go many places. And, I just had been forced to just chill. And I have been reading more and watching TV and social media a lot less. And then I actually just some days don't do anything. Period. And I don't feel guilty about it when usually I always feel like I need to be doing something because I don't want nobody to think I'm lazy or not. So I just don't care. And some days I just don't do anything. And that's my self-care for that day.
I hear that. I like being in silence at times.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what I've been doing though to enjoy that quiet nature, I've been getting into gardening. So
Ooh.
putting flowers in the yard and
Mm-hmm.
trying to learn about how to revive plants. So I've been like buying plants off the clearance rack and then trying to revive them. And so I've been getting into gardening, and that's fun. I've been enjoying that, and I've been getting out. I love being outdoors. And so I've been doing a lot more of that, going for walks and bike rides and things like that. So those are probably the two main things that I've been doing. But also I've been reading more as well. So, yeah,
Yeah, those
because
are
the
all good.
library has a app that you can download books from the public library. Some of their books are they are downloadable, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, those are all great. Thank you for sharing. And Shantae, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just doing nothing. Like
Oh, yes, honey,
sometimes we
not
just
a thing.
Yeah.
sometimes we just need those days where we just do nothing.
I have
No,
more often than not had those days.
And it's a completely okay. So,
mm-hmm.
anyone want to leave some final thoughts with moms that are listening, specifically brown moms that have sons and that have husbands?
I will say for the moms that have lost sons, either to violence or health issues, or just if you lost a son or to the prison system, it's going to be a double whammy for them because they have to, it's like they're reliving every time another Black man or boy
Mm.
gets killed, they're reliving what happened to their son or not having their son or whatever. So that can be hard. Just, I would say our thoughts are with you, and, just link up with other moms. It may help you feel a little better during these times, and just don't feel like you're forgotten or your son is forgotten. Because, I feel like a lot of people may feel like their son's name is unheard because George Floyd's name is so loud, but George Floyd's
Wow.
for every one of the lost ones before him, so that can be hard. And for the moms that do have brown sons, just love on them, man. They could be pain in the butt sometimes, but they're yours and God gave them to you, and just love on them. And like I was in the process of getting my son out of my bed, and now I'm like, come sleep with me. I just want to cuddle, and mind you, he's 7, but he looked like he about 13. So it looked like I'm in the bed with a whole boyfriend. So
Oh.
I'm like, come cuddle with me. He's like, Mom, now he doesn't want to be bothered. So like, but there's moms that wish they can cuddle with their 46-year-old or their 30-year-old or their 21 or 17-year-old son, but he's not here anymore. So, just love on them. And it is what it is at this point when it comes to our Black husbands and sons and brothers and friends. Just love on them, because every day they walk out the house, they going to war, for real. So, that's what I've learned. That's what I've learned during this time, to just appreciate them and love on them more.
Yeah, I would echo that. And I've been trying to take that time and do I have two sons, and I've been trying to do, more one-on-one, just having those one-on-one moments with them. If it's just like going to the grocery store, and I'll just say, hey, would you come help me, come to the store with me? And I will ask them to help me, because if I ask them if they want to go, the answer will always be no.
True.
But, if I ask them to help me, they will generally want to help mom, and they'll come. And it's an opportunity to just have that one-on-one time, because we have been home so much with the quarantine. It's been harder to have that individual time with them. So like my youngest, Xavier, is getting into gardening with me. He's trying to grow a watermelon right now. So we're having fun with that. And, my oldest son, I've just been trying to he likes to shop. So we'll go to the mall and look around. When the stores opened up, I kind of took him out a little bit and, just the two of us. So I've been trying to do that, just kind of have some one-on-one time. And then my husband and I, we get up early because before the kids get up, we're up at like 6 o'clock. We've been taking walks in the morning. And, so that's been really nice to have the opportunity to do that. Because, when you're in the rat race, driving to work every day, and you don't get often, there'll be times I wouldn't see him till, 8 or 9 o'clock at night, because, when he gets home. So it's been really an opportunity to take that time and just slow down. Like you said, Shantae, just, hey, some days if you don't feel like doing anything, even cooking, like, hey, we are not going to starve. We find something to eat in there and just really focus on that quality time. Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you all again for sharing in this conversation. All conversations are a start to the bigger solution.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to be mindful of, having these conversations with our girlfriends, our guy friends, even our family. 2 weeks ago, I had a Zoom with my family, and we talked about a lot of the things that we just talked about. We talked about the importance of voting, and we talked about a lot of different things. And it was so helpful. It was so helpful just to hear. I mean, we had my younger cousins, 13 and 16, and just how passionate they are about leading the way was like, whoa, like this world better watch out, because these young people
kids ain't playing.
ain't playing. And so I just encourage you all and encourage everyone listening to have the courage to start the conversation, with your friends and your family members, and be willing to just listen and see where it goes from there. And I also implore you all to just think about action steps and think about aligning with an organization that really resonates with you, that is already doing the work. So it's like you don't have to recreate the wheel. You just join them and being a bridge to fighting police brutality and racial injustices in our community. Because the fact of the matter is that all lives don't matter until Black lives start mattering.
Absolutely.
So I thank you all.
And that is, yes. Thank you so much, Danielle. I really appreciate this opportunity.
All right, moms, that wraps up this episode of the Mom Still Standing podcast. And here at the Mom Still Standing podcast, we want moms to know that you all do not have to mom alone. And so even with an issue like this of racism, you don't have to deal with your emotions and your feelings all alone. Reach out to someone. And it's okay to go sit on someone's couch and talk it through, because the reality is this is a hard time. A lot of people are grieving. A lot of people are sad, and we just need help. And if you are a believer, you can always find hope and joy and peace in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So remember that above all. All right. I'll talk with y'all soon. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, moms, for tuning into this week's episode of the Mom Still Standing podcast. Make sure you head over to iTunes and subscribe. If you found this episode to be informative and encouraging, please write a review so that we can continue to empower moms everywhere. In the meantime, remember, connected moms don't mom alone.